the big elephant in the room, right? We've talked about how, the IT sector in India is doing really well. We've talked about, migrants going back, but there is this intrinsic mismatch, right? There's all this talk about the demographic dividend. Well, the demographic dividend to people want jobs, but they should be jobs for the skills. There has to be a matching of the skills. Now, one of the years that we did, ASER, in the off years, we looked at youth, 14 to 18-year-olds. I mean, those are the very, so they are not children anymore because right to education ends at 14, and they're not quite adults because that starts at 18. But, major decisions in their lives are made during that period. And youth after youth that we talked to. So this is just rural. They have aspirations, the standard aspirations. They want a government job. They want to go to college. They don't clearly want to be like their parents. They say that they've done everything that they were asked to do because most of them have completed class 8, because that's what's happened after right to education. Those numbers have doubled. And there is this great sense of betrayal because there's nothing at the end of this. They've done, over and over, that I did everything. They don't have any role models, and they don't know what to do. And, this is a ticking bomb because the aspirations are there, the skills, I can see it, right? But I can't get it. There is all this talk about India shining. Well, there is India shining, and then there is the rest of India.
Yeah.
And that has just not caught up.
What would you have a response to that?
So I think that's at the heart of the issue, right? We are talking about, so let's think about it in a long arc, right? We invested in higher education, particularly in technical education in the 50s and 60s, and built out these wonderful institutions that basically propel the service-led growth. As the 1990s story of higher education in India is actually a very depressing story in terms of the institutional capability of education. School education starts expanding. So you start moving into mass education that always brings with it, there's an expansion and then there's a challenge of quality at the school education level. The higher education institutions, particularly in the social sciences and others, for a whole host of complicated reasons, start atrophying. But you really still only have a service-led economy. So you're not actually investing where you needed to for the rest of the economy to catch up as the top layer of the economy was beginning to create all of that growth. That's all coming to roost. We just some early indications from a youth survey some colleagues and us are doing in one big IT state is telling us that the one skill everybody wants to get after having finished engineering college, some of them, is IT skills. Those are the only jobs and possibilities that people are seeing. And it begs the question, how do you talk about skilling when you still haven't been able to ensure that 50% of children that finish 5 years of schooling can read a standard 2 text? I don't know that there is anything in history that tells you can skill without doing this foundational stuff, right? The good news is that we finally acknowledged the foundational issue and we are moving closely in that direction.